Hi everyone, welcome back to Morbid Minute. I am back on my set with our ermine and a dead orchid. Nailed it! We owe today's Morbid Minute to none other than the $6 Million Man, a 1970s television show about a partially bionic former astronaut.
A man barely alive. Gentlemen, we can rebuild him. We have the technology.
If ABC had never brought us this gem, we might never even have heard of the long-lost corpse of one Elmer McCurdy. In 1976, the $6 Million Man was filming on location at an amusement park in Long Beach, California. As they were setting up inside the park's funhouse, the crew members couldn't help but notice that one of the hanged man mannequins was a bizarre neon orange color. They thought it might be made out of paper mache because it was so light that it swayed back and forth every time they brushed past it. At one point, a crew member tugged at the arm of the mannequin and it broke off entirely. It didn't look like paper mache inside, it looked more like beef jerky and something that appeared to be human bone. Mannequins don't normally have bones. That's just a science fact. To see if they were really dealing with a man and not a mannequin, the crew members decided to check between the mannequin's legs for further anatomical evidence, which they found. Dry and desiccated, but intact. Mannequins normally don't have those either. The crew called the authorities, and the corpse was taken to the office of famed Los Angeles medical examiner Dr. Thomas Noguchi. Dr. Noguchi, along with deputy medical examiner Dr. Joseph Choi, determined that this man had died sometime in the early 20th century of gunshot wounds. They also determined that he had been preserved using arsenic embalming fluid, the same kind of fluid used on Abraham Lincoln's corpse. Furthermore, inside the mummy's mouth was a penny from 1924, along with a ticket stub to some place called Louis Sonny's Museum of Crime. The press got a hold of this information, and after a brief wave of dummy mummy mania, John Doe number 255 was determined to be the Oklahoma outlaw Elmer McCurdy. But who was Elmer McCurdy, and how did he end up in a 1970s funhouse near LA? Born in Maine in 1880, old Elmer could never really catch a break. After a brief stint in the military, he contracted tuberculosis from working in the lead mines, fell into alcoholism, and finally turned to a life of crime in the Midwest. Sadly, Elmer just wasn't a very talented criminal. He fancied himself an explosives expert, but he just wasn't that good at blowing things up. At one particular heist, he managed to blow up both the safe as well as all of the loot inside it. Elmer was eventually killed in 1911 during a shootout with authorities when they found him drinking stolen whiskey in a barn.
Oh, Elmer.
After Elmer's unfortunate death, his body was never claimed, so funeral director Joseph Johnson of Pawhuska, Oklahoma, embalmed the crap out of him and propped him up in the funeral home window on display. Like you do. It reminds me of how early embalmers during the Civil War would prop up unclaimed bodies as advertising outside their tents. In death, Elmer finally gained some recognition. People came from near and far to see Johnson's handiwork, putting the admission price directly into Elmer's mummified mouth. At one point, Johnson's children even propped Elmer up in some roller skates and rolled him around to scare the gawkers. Cannot make that up, folks. After about 5 years of this, a man showed up at the funeral home claiming to be Elmer's brother and demanded the return of the body so that he might finally be given a proper burial. Of course, the brother, it wasn't really his brother, sent Elmer to what was essentially a freak show in West Texas, calling him the Oklahoma Outlaw. Elmer was passed from carnival to carnival for over 60 years. Each time he moved, a little bit of his history was forgotten, so by the time he arrived at the Long Beach Fun House in the 1960s, nobody even knew he was human. Called the 1,000-year-old man, Funhouse patrons came and saw him, not realizing that the 1,000-year-old man was actually a 90-year-old-ish real man, which is somehow much worse. Elmer McCurdy was finally laid to rest in 1977 at Summit View Cemetery in Guthrie, Oklahoma. To make sure that no one ever gets a hold of his body again, they poured 2 cubic yards of concrete over his casket before covering it up. Oh, you're not gonna get old Elmer again. No, you're not. And that, my friends, is your morbid minute. Remember, you will die. Here's a question. Do you want me to respond to comments from the previous video if you're one of those people that likes to stick around till the end of the video to hang out with me and Hermione? I love it when we're cruising together. Brought to you with support from People's Memorial Association and the Co-op Funeral Home, and donations from viewers like you. It's my 4th video this month. It's my 4th video this month. It's my 4th video this month, but don't hold me to making videos every week or I'll come to you in your sleep and make things bad for you. Not like, that's not a threat. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna kill you or like hurt you. It's just gonna be like a bad dream where I'm like, oh, I'm just trying to make videos, but I can't make a video every week, but I'm gonna try. That's not a very good song.